Hey there, good afternoon, everybody. Eric Chilton here with Lauren Coleman, Chad Silber, and Monique Robinson.
How are you doing? Welcome, whether you're watching on air, online, Fire Stick, Roku, or the WFMY News 2 app.
Obviously, the big story of the day is the weather, the winter weather that we saw overnight. Monique, we're going to get an update on the forecast in just a little bit from her. But first, some of the video that we have seen today has been pretty incredible. This was a scene across much of the area. You likely heard the overnight wind and rain and eventually turning into this, a lot of snow. It caused lots of damage, too. A tree fell on power lines here on Buchanan Church Road in Greensboro. It'll take some time to get it all cleaned up.
Some of you shared photos with us showing the damages from early morning winds. Sophia in Wisset sent these photos of a trampoline in her yard. She said it wasn't her trampoline. Another viewer shared a photo of a tree down earlier on Union Cross Road in Winston-Salem. Shannon Moody Smith shared these photos showing damages to her porch. She said around 7, winds ripped the porch shelter off her house and threw it onto the roof in front of her front yard in Staley. And then Chad showed how the wind blew siding on his home up underneath his house in Graham.
It's a different Chad there.
Yeah, different
me.
Chad.
Yeah. Despite the mess, a lot of snow lovers were happy to wake up to quite the sight this morning. Dwayne Young shared this photo from his backyard in Stokes County. Looks beautiful.
We do have team coverage of the snowy day. Monique Robinson is with us to bring you the latest forecast as the storm moves out. And then WFMY News 2's Amber Lake is live in Greensboro.
Amber, those heavy winds caused thousands of power outages. You're hearing it might be tomorrow before the heat's back on for some.
Correct, guys. So I'm out here on West Wendover Avenue in Greensboro, and as you can see behind me, there's a Greensboro police officer guarding this area of the road because there is a downed power line. Now, electricity crews have been all over the Triad today trying to get power back to customers, and even though it's sunny right now, it did not look like this exactly 4 hours ago. Now, I'm going to show you this video that I shot earlier. While driving around Greensboro, I came up to not just one, but many stoplights that were out today, which can cause lots of problems for drivers. I've talked to a few electric companies who tell me that they focus on the larger areas first, the areas where the most people lost power, and then they make their way down. Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy said they're doing the most they can to get all power restored across the Triad.
The challenges that we're facing is because there are a lot of small outages, a lot of tree-related outages. It's going to be slow going. So while we will continue to restore many more customers today, we do think it's likely that some customers are going to extend beyond today. And that's why it's so important that they do report that outage because then they can get updates on their individual estimated times of restoration.
Now, like Brooks said, if you are still without power, make sure you report it. You can go to Duke Energy's website, like I have right here, to report that outage.
Thank you, Amber. This morning's storms damaged homes and took down trees all across the Triad. Cecilia Cruz works with Alliance Insurance Services in Winston-Salem. She says phones rang off the hook all morning from homeowners asking about fallen trees on their property. She says trees damage caused by the wind is automatically covered under any standard homeowner's policy.
It's covered as long as it causes damage to your property. This can be the side of your house, it can be a fence, it can be a shed that you may have, but the key is that it has to damage your property and or block your driveway to get in and out.
2 wants to know what happens if a tree from your neighbor's house falls on your home or vice versa. Who is responsible for covering the damage? Cruz says your insurance company pays for any damage to your home.
If the wind caused the damage, no one is responsible, right? Because you didn't tell the wind to blow and hit your neighbor's yard. So your insurance company would take care of that damage under your insurance policy. So your neighbor's tree falls on your home, you call your insurance company.
Cruz says this also applies to any fallen objects like trampolines. Here's a picture of a trampoline that flew into a Wisset woman's yard earlier this morning.
That would fall under falling objects. Again, the wind picked it up and it landed on your yard, right? If it doesn't cause damage to any of your property, there's no coverage to claim, right? If it just lands on your yard, then that's fine, but you're not responsible to replace the trampoline of your neighbor two 2 doors down because it just flew into your property.
Since a lot of homeowners will call about damage today, Crews recommends taking pictures and video of damage to help adjusters in case they can't get to you right away. She also says go ahead and put a tarp over your property to prevent more damage.
All right, so Monique, the ground is too warm for much of that accumulation today, but it won't prevent black ice overnight, possibly.
Yeah, certainly not. And as I was looking at some of those images that Amber was showing earlier, I'm starting to see a lot of that water that we're seeing on the ground evaporate, which is good news. As that sun blankets our skies now, things are just much different as compared to earlier today. I mean, the temperature now at 40 degrees in Greensboro, but look outside. I mean, take a look at the sky overall in downtown Greensboro. Can you believe just hours ago it was snowy and mostly cloudy? And you can see this is a look at Churchill, North Carolina. I mean, visibility was at a minimum. Thanks to Jill Coots for sending in this photo. I mean, you can see white skies across the area, the winds whipping, really not allowing for much to be able to be seen and covering a lot of areas like here also in Gibsonville. Thanks to John Regirio for sending in this photo. And some folks able to take some of that wet snow and build a snowman, but you're already seeing here some of that was evaporating earlier today, and that's going to continue to happen. Not only melt, but then evaporate. Now, what is left? Any water that's on the ground could potentially turn into black ice. Now, our radar showing dry conditions now. A lot of that activity moving out to the north and east. And when I zoom in a little bit closer, you're seeing here things are dry, but the effects, that means cold temperatures. Now, tonight is going to be the coldest night of not only the year, it's been only 3 days, but it's also the coldest night of this season. Now, that's going to be a cause for concern for a lot of folks still dealing with those power outages. I'm talking 20s for tonight. Now, the winds do take a back seat, so we're not necessarily going to be concerned about that. But like I said, it is going to be an extremely cold night. And can you believe it? Just 72 hours ago, we were in the 70s, and now look at us all talking about snow and wintry conditions. Now, like I said, though, this weather is starting to melt. The snow, not so much of a factor as we go into tonight. But yes, it is cold enough, and any lingering water puddles on our roadways could potentially turn into ice. So make sure to be careful. I'll have more details with my full forecast coming up later in the 4 p.m. hour.
Monique, thank you. Stick with us when rocky weather is in the forecast. Our weather team is consistently rated the most accurate in the Triad. Download the News 2 app for their latest forecasts.
Well, you've been sharing your photos with us all day, kind of showing us how the storm impacted you in your neck of the woods. Ilana Green's photo showed a massive tree that fell on a fence line in Asheboro. And this photo shows just how saturated the ground was. You can see that area of water that's collected under the tree's roots there. So 2 Austin Knows' Ben Briscoe shares with us the storm from your perspective, Ben.
Eric, it wasn't just Ilana's tree. Take a look at this. NCDOT posted that there was a ton of roads today with trees right across them. They just whipped over across those roads. At one point, more than 100 roads were being impacted, according to the NCDOT website. Also, those winds, they brought a lot of damage, like Jeremy's playset, totally ruined there, just knocked over on its side. And our emergency crews had to spend a lot of time today babysitting down power lines like this one that was sparking in Winston-Salem. I want you to look how the whiteout conditions were too. It was really hard to drive at some points during today's storm, but that only lasted for a short time. And we did get these amazing views of the winter wonderland, like coming from Stokes County, Dwayne's farm out there. Also, keep in mind, it could have been a lot worse. This is the condition up in Boone, where yeah, I would not want to be out in that. So overall, we fared pretty well, and a lot of people enjoyed the snow today. If you've got pictures of the snow, we'd love to see them, what you ended up doing today. Just post them and tag WFMY.
Yeah, make sure you do share those photos. You can text them to us. The number is 379-5775. That's 336, of course, 379-5775. Let us know who the photos are from and where they were taken so we can feature your photos both on air and online.
Another big story we are tracking today, the FDA authorized the use of COVID-19 boosters for teenagers 12 to 15 years old. The FDA suggests booster doses 5 months after their last dose, compared to the 6 months for anyone 16 or older. The decision now moves to the CDC for approval. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky is expected to make a decision later this week. Boosters are already recommended for everyone 16 or older.
Guilford County commissioners will meet with county health leaders to discuss reinstating the mask mandate next week. Guilford County's positivity rate has skyrocketed since commissioners removed the mask mandate back in November. Leaders will discuss next steps to help control the spread of this virus. Next week's meeting will be Thursday at 5 p.m. We'll bring you updates on that meeting on air and online.
So here's the proof to that alarming increase in Guilford County. The latest percent positive is 32.3%. It is by far the highest number the county has ever reported. It means 1 in every 3 tests is coming back positive. The previous record was set just last week, 25%. Today's number is 7 percentage points higher. Now, all of our high numbers have really impacted the county's 2-week average. Right now, it's at 18.9%. That's nearly 4 times the county's goal of 5%. We'll be right back.
It's still unclear what pushed Buccaneers player Antonio Brown to rip off his jersey off in Sunday's game before walking off the field. Head coach Bruce Adams said Brown is no longer a Buccaneer. Brown took off his jersey, pads, and shirt before giving the peace sign to fans as he exited the field by walking through the end zone. Initially, it was thought that Brown was upset for being taken out of the game, while the internet speculated over what happened. No team officials explained what happened on the field.
It was a game to forget for the Carolina Panthers yesterday. The Cats lost their 6th straight to the New Orleans Saints. Quarterback Sam Darnold started off strong, but then fell short, finishing with just 178 passing yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and 7 sacks. Darnold is taking some heat today for the comments he made following yesterday's loss.
I think, bottom line, is just everyone's not playing good enough. Me, Cam, everyone on offense, we're just not playing good enough to win games.
Fans weren't happy with his comments. One Twitter user wrote, Sam Darnold got a touchdown and the first man to congratulate him for it was Cam Newton. During today's postgame presser, Darnold casually threw Cam's name in there when criticizing the team. Cam Newton played one snap today. Sam Darnold is a terrible teammate. Another wrote, everybody done all that talking about Cam Newton just for Sam Darnold to lose to half of a Saints team. Then Darnold decided to talk about Cam. Panthers have massive locker room issues. Wyatt wrote, Sam Darnold has literally been worse on the Panthers than he was on the Jets overall. Aaron shared this gif of a farmer rescuing a sheep just to have the sheep get stuck again, saying, being a Panthers fan heading into the 2022 season with Matt Rule still in charge and Sam Darnold as QB1. And Brian wrote, in 8 games, Sam Darnold has fumbled more times than Cam Newton has in his past 20 games.
Oh, wow.
Man.
They were going in on Twitter.
You go after Cam, and some people get upset about that. I don't know if that was really him going after him, though.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think that the way that Sam Darnold said it was meant that nobody's been playing good for several games, not just yesterday's game. Yeah, he just said one snap, but I mean, this has been going on for several weeks.
And we have to think about it like with COVID and schedules changing and people getting sick, it's really thrown a monkey in the wrench and has been crazy for everyone on the team.
It's interesting how I heard some of the announcers saying when Matt Rule was in college, at both of his college, Baylor, and I can't remember the first school, he had 2 losing seasons in a row, and then his 3rd season he took them to like a conference championship, right? And so they're saying, hang in there with him. He still has some time to prove things. And it was interesting to me that both announcers took Matt Rule's side and said he's still learning.
Yeah, I mean, we got to give him time, right? I mean, everybody, you know, some people want Matt Rule's head on a stick, but I mean, you got to give him some time. I mean, he's working with some of the players that were there before he got there, and now he's trying to build his own program.
It'd be nice if we could keep McCaffrey healthy for more than 3 games at a time. That might help.
It's kind of laughable, though, right? I mean,
hopefully they just all get on the same page, start to gel right, because it hasn't been looking good lately.
But we go back to that Antonio Brown thing. People are just scratching their heads. What in the world? One of the announcers said, I've been doing this 20-something years, never seen anything like that.
I mean, it was crazy that the clock was going. I mean, it was an active game.
Yeah. And he ran through the end zone.
I just wonder what sparked that because it just seems so random.
And did you all see? I saw it on Instagram yesterday that he went and got in an Uber, and the Uber driver put something on social media saying like, "Look who I've got in my Uber right now."
I wonder if he just went like shirtless straight to the Uber
and started like piecing off the field.
Right. No, hey, he was giving it a WFMY news too. That's what he was doing.
He was repping us.
He's a big fan of us. Yep.
All right, we'll take a break. We're coming right back. Do it again.
Duke Energy continues working to restore power to more than 100,000 customers. More than 13,000 customers are without power in Guilford County. That number is even higher, with more than 16,000 people without power in Forsyth County. So Monique, is the weather going to cooperate so crews can work quickly on these repairs?
Well, certainly those winds are taking a backseat as we go throughout the course of today. Now, the snow was a big factor, yes, and we weren't the only ones that did have to deal with them today. I mean, take a look across much of the southeast and going north, the mid-Atlantic towards the Maryland, D.C. area. They saw a significant amount of rain today. Snow today, excuse me, as well as rain. We all saw rain, and then the snow came after. It started out early like rain, yes, and we all heard that wind. I know myself, it was tough to go to sleep last night. The wind was strong, the rain was heavy, and then things transitioned into snow early in the day. And here's a look at some of those snowfall totals across the area. Greensboro on the low end, as well as Lexington, but you can see Reedsville topping things off at 2.5 inches, and then Lawsonville roughly right around 3 inches there. King at 2 inches, but overall we've all at least seen a little bit of snow, even if it was just a trace of it. But I said those winds, this is really what knocked those trees and power lines down across the area. What happened was, as that rain from yesterday morning continuing through the evening really saturated the air, and these winds were so strong, kind of dancing around that tropical storm force wind speed, really just act to just knock over those trees and power lines. 47-mile-per-hour winds in Greensboro. That's extremely strong. Even taking a look, 48 miles per hour in Winston-Salem. Again, these are the max wind speeds, but if you were like me, last night you couldn't go to sleep. It was just so windy. But that 7-day does feature a chance of the possibility of some more of this wintry mix. More details on it coming up.
All right, needless to say, the weather's been off the hook lately. One day in the 70s, the next in the 40s, literally. So I asked you on Facebook, describe North Carolina weather in 5 words or less. No curse words, please. Here's what happened. Teresa said, Mother Nature needs meds. That was one of my favorite ones there. Jay said, 4 seasons in 1 day. Scott said, running AC lasts 3 nights. Daisy said, from flip-flops to boots. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Somebody else said, make up your dang mind.
That's a good one.
That's what they said. Yeah.
I said scatterbrain was mine because it can't decide if it wants to be hot or cold. Like, I was just going out the house without a jacket.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
a light little sweater, and now I had my rain boots on today. I had 2 jackets on. It was
By
a
the way,
mess.
let me apologize to everybody because I had a typo in my post when I originally posted it. And Chad, it said describe North Carolina weather in 54 words or less. I meant 5 words or less.
Someone wrote an essay, I
The
bet,
people
too.
were writing a lot. Yes, I corrected it.
I think mine probably simple. Up, down, up.
True.
That's it. That's all I got. Those are the 5 words.
I'm just upset kind of by it. I've lived in North Carolina now for, I would say, 3 years. It's my first time really seeing snow in North Carolina, and I thought that by coming here, I was leaving it. So to see it this morning, I was kind of like, I did forecast it, but like, did you really have to come?
Did you really have to show up?
I didn't know it was going to be this bad.
See, I think for Monique, this is good for you though, because think about all those people on your social media pages that have been begging for this snow.
Oh yes.
And now they have it, and so maybe they'll ease off a bit.
Well, there's a small margin of audience that all of a sudden is like, we didn't ask for this. I'm like, wait, where were you guys? Everyone else before was saying they wanted it.
Right.
People are never happy.
Get
In the
used to that.
summer, they want the winter, then the winter's here, and they're like, we want summer
See,
again.
this is the kind that I like, where we get a okay amount of snow. An inch or less, roughly, in our neck of the woods, and then it leaves as fast as it showed up, right?
Yeah.
So when the sun breaks out, and I know we might have black ice issues, but for the most part, you probably won't even notice any snow on the ground by tomorrow.
From the time when you both came to work today, it looks a completely different picture outside.
And I just stayed in bed until it all melted.
Lucky you.
I'm not getting out of here.
But Chad, you've seen real snows growing up in Wisconsin,
yeah.
so this is like
This is nothing to him.
And I was just in it last week when I went home
Oh, yeah.
for Christmas. So yeah, it's nothing, but it's still kind of a pain in the butt sometimes.
nice to look at, and then get out of here.
Absolutely.
It's like your relatives that come to visit. I'm just kidding, just saying. We'll be right back. Stay there. After 3 days, throw them out. You know, it doesn't happen very often. We're about to get a rare opportunity here in the Triad. In case you hadn't heard, a Winston-Salem Theater will be part of the Sundance Film Festival, and you can reap the benefits. I spoke with Kayla Kavanaugh with the Aperture Cinema to get the scoop. Hi Kayla, thanks for being with us today. Hey, this is really cool. Let's talk about this, and we'll start with tomorrow night. Like, this is a big deal for you guys.
Yes, so tomorrow night we are going to be hosting a shorts program for the Sundance Film Festival. This program is 7 different films. The screening itself is going to start at 7:30. It's free, but you do need to reserve a ticket through our website.
So let's talk about what constitutes a short, because we hear that all the time. The general public may go, well, I know it's shorter than a feature length, but what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so a short is typically, obviously, going to be a shorter film. The time ranges, it can be 15 to 30 minutes perhaps or so, but it's a little bit different of a form of storytelling. So a feature film obviously takes its time in storytelling. A short film kind of packs a quicker punch to really convey sometimes non-traditional forms of storytelling.
So Kayla, you guys must be over the moon. I mean, this doesn't happen every day. What's the feeling there?
So we are all very excited to be able to take part in this international film festival. It's a huge honor for Aperture, and we're really excited to bring this to the City of the Innovation and the Arts. We're excited to be able to bring international film right here to our small town of Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Kayla, this sounds great. We will see you at the theater. All right, so their short film screenings, that is tomorrow night, but the full-length feature films, that's coming up in a few weeks. We'll be talking about that in our next half hour. We're coming right back. See you in a few.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together like a classic combination.
We've got all kinds of cute pet and kid pictures coming up in this hit.
Well, welcome back on this very cold Monday afternoon. I'm Lauren Coleman here with Chad Silver, Eric Tilton, and Monique Robinson.
It's kind of crazy to see that time lapse back there.
goodness,
We're going
yeah.
to get a closer look at that in just a minute. Welcome to the 4 to 5. Thank you for watching us on air, online, Roku, and Fire Stick.
And we're going to check in with Monique in just a minute and to see what happens next after this crazy Monday of weather today.
But first, we want to start with the damages seen around the Triad from today's winter weather. Heavy winds uprooted trees everywhere. One of our News 2 co-workers shared photos of the storm's strength in Summerfield. Strong winds knocked a tree onto his house, damaging his roof and toppling his children's play set. Wow.
Shannon Moody Smith shared these photos showing damage to her porch from those strong wind gusts overnight. WFMY News 2's Sydney Moore talked with her and got a closer look at that damage.
Well, the resident at this home says the awning that was used to cover the back porch flew right here into the front yard. There are even still pieces of it still left on the roof. Now, Shannon Smith says she woke up around 6 this morning for work and could see how windy it was getting outside. That's when she heard a loud boom and the awning came off. The storm caused other damages around the home, including a damaged tree and a destroyed pool.
It was out there and we had drained the water for winter and stuff, and so it had a little water in it, but it just, I guess it picked it up and it just flipped it over to the porch that's around the pool. I am grateful though that I was here and I know what happened to my house.
Smith says she is also thankful the power in her home is still on. She says once the damages happened, she made sure she alerted her insurance company. Now, this isn't the only home impacted by the storm. I spoke with 2 tree companies from Greensboro and Asheboro who have been working all day cleaning up damages. You'll hear from them at 5 o'clock.
So the snow has moved on, skies clearing up, already cleared up actually, but still a little cause for concern. We got to watch for that black ice tonight as temperatures drop pretty quickly. Meteorologist Monique Robinson explains what causes black ice and what you should do when you're on the road.
Snow. You love to see it. We haven't even seen a trace of snowfall since February 6, 2021. That's nearly 331 days ago. But there's a backside to every blessing. Take a look down here. So puddles like this one will eventually turn into ice tonight as temperatures continue to fall, known as black ice, which is extremely dangerous because it's nearly invisible. So drivers, listen up. Drive slowly, steer carefully, and make sure your car is clear of any snow and ice so you can see the road clearly.
All right, the most common insurance question we get here at Who Wants to Know is, who is responsible for tree damage? Chase Smith at Alliance Insurance answers the question.
It is always the homeowner. We get this question a lot. You know, a lot of circumstances with a neighbor's tree may have fallen on your next door neighbor's home. The homeowner is always responsible.
Okay, so fine, if it's your home, it's your responsibility. Doesn't matter whose tree it is. I don't know that that always sits well with folks.
Yeah, it seems kind of weird.
I know I've heard that a million times over the past years. It still is weird to think that some tree in somebody else's yard, but it's your fault.
Absolutely.
Your responsibility, not
Responsibility.
Your fault. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now here's another common question about insurance. What if the tree, okay, there actually hits like the garage part of the house and your car is inside? Which insurance covers it? Your homeowner's insurance or your car insurance?
Wait a minute, that's tricky because it is under the roof of your home?
That's
is that right?
correct.
And I know your homeowner's insurance covers items like an iPad that you had in your home.
Right.
But if it's stolen out of your car, your homeowner's that pays it, right?
Right. So it's kind of like, all right, so what's going on here? Well, I like how you both are thinking because this is a tricky thing, but the answer is your car insurance pays for the damage, even if your car is inside the garage. See, the problem is insurance only pays if you have comprehensive coverage, which isn't required for all cars. That's a problem.
Okay.
Comprehensive coverage is really for acts of nature, things like hail damage, hitting an animal, lightning, flood, a limb falling on it.
Hey, all right, one last thing as Lauren was making her exit. Here's the last scenario. When there are limbs and tree trunks kind of like all over your yard, right? It's just a big old mess, and it's more than what you can handle by yourself. You need some kind of big machinery. The standard homeowner's insurance policy does not cover that. You may have an enhanced policy that does, but I got to tell you, your everyday policy does not. You're on your own.
From damage to power outages, maybe you came across an intersection this morning where the lights were out. The best thing to do is treat it like a four-way stop. So the first person there has the right of way. If you're there at the same time as someone else, the person to the right goes first. Forward traffic has the right of way over turning traffic, and right turns take precedence over left turns.
Monique, the winds are expected to ease up tonight, but we better bundle up because it's going to be very cold.
Cold is an understatement. Now take a look how things transition today due to this cold air moving in. This is a time lapse of Wake Forest. Now we started out with rain, then it turned into a white slush. You can kind of see it there. Then things kind of turned real snowy, and then as we got towards the afternoon, we got to see some blue skies throughout this afternoon. I mean, a blue oasis for sure across the entirety of our skies. I mean, not only in Wake Forest, also in places across Greensboro and elsewhere in Alamance County. But this ugly map right here is all of the storm reports across the area over the last 24 hours related to snow, related to strong winds, down trees and down power lines. And this will start to clear up as we move forward in time. But these winds have been making for a mess across the area. Now things are starting to die down. You can see these winds now roughly between 5 and 10 miles per hour, but earlier today they were about 4 times that. So extremely strong winds, all in the wake of this cold front. And I'm saying cold because that cold air that cold front ushered in, we're all going to be feeling it tonight as temperatures drop down to 21 degrees. Certainly a cold night. That is an understatement. It is going to be downright freezing. So definitely crank on your heat for tonight. And that 7-day does feature more temperatures feeling more like winter. So say goodbye to the 70s for now. No longer feeling like spring, at least through Monday. But overall, these temperatures are staying in the upper 40s, 50s. Overnight lows constantly dropping down into the 20s. So make sure if you don't have the winter gear back out, pull it out now to prepare, because tonight, tomorrow night, the next night, and the next night after that, we're getting back down into those really cold numbers.
Wow, 21 degrees. Be sure to download our free WFMY News 2 app to get weather alerts on your phone when you need them most. We know what we've seen when we're out on the roadways, but we want to see the storm through your lens. 2 Wants to Know's Ben Briscoe has been collecting your photos and videos to give us a better look at the storms. Ben.
Lauren, the best storm photos always include pets and kids. You can't go wrong with those. So let's start right here with this curious cat who woke up this morning looking out the window at this snow falling across the Triad. One cat even got out into it. This, by the way, her name, Miss Athena Grace. She's a cat visiting from Florida. This was her first time ever seeing the snow. Also, snow newbies, these geese. Take a look at the cotton patch geese experiencing their first ever snow. Their owner posted, "I kept expecting them to stick their tongues out to catch the flakes." Of course, the kiddos, they wanted to get out there too and make a snowman. I gotta show you, this one is pretty good, but look at this little itty bitty baby snowman made by Jonathan's family. He said, you know what, it's 77 degrees the day before, you need a small snowman to celebrate. And I have to show you Megan Malaris. She posted this adorable video. Sometimes destroying the snowman is just as fun as making it. If you have more pictures that we should see, go ahead and post them and just tag WFMY. That way we can share them with everyone else.
About this earlier, but you surely heard about the world famous Sundance Film Festival. It's a big deal. This incredible event is coming to the Triad, so to speak. I had a chance to get a little bit of a sneak peek. Here's part of my conversation with Kayla Kavanaugh of the film festival. Kayla, this is really cool. Very rarely do we here in the Triad get to participate in something as big as Sundance. So let's talk about what we'll see that weekend.
Yes, definitely. So Aperture is actually a satellite screen for the Sundance Film Festival. So we are one of 7 independent theaters here in the U.S. We are among a group of renowned art house cinemas, and towards the end of January, from January 28th through the 30th, we will be screening features from the Sundance Festival, films, and a collection of shorts. This is a way to bring Sundance to an audience that might not typically get to take part. So people in our community can come down to Aperture and really participate in an internationally renowned film festival.
So Kayla, then you're going to have, a lot of stuff going on, right? That weekend you're showing Sundance, but not just that, right?
Yeah, so we will actually be functioning as a regular art house cinema during that weekend. So we will have our normal programming in conjunction with Sundance. So you will have the opportunity to come to Aperture and see new feature releases, just like you would on a normal day. We'll do a couple of screenings of different Sundance features throughout the weekend. So there will be single screenings of each film, and you'll just have to reserve your ticket for those through our website at aperturecinema.com. And tickets do go on sale this week, so you can go ahead and claim your spot. Tickets go on sale to the public on this Wednesday.
Kayla, this is awesome. I'm super excited. I know a lot of people that don't even have a clue about what a film festival is will be there. Thanks a lot for your time. Yeah, this is exciting because on those 3 days, January 28th through the 30th, they will mix in with some other independent films, but some of the Sundance films will be shown there. It is free, but you have to reserve your space because limited seating. But you get to see, really what will be world-renowned films, and they'll be right here in Winston-Salem.
So it's people all over the world. Any local talent that's going to be aired?
I haven't heard yet. She didn't mention that. They're kind of focused on just trying to get the word out for this. But, in past, we have had some sort of a tie-in, especially with School of the Arts right down the road.
Absolutely.
And you were explaining me right at the end of that segment there, where you said even people who know nothing about film festivals will want to be there.
Some of us.
I really don't know much about them.
So it's interesting to me, and I love the short films because they're just, because of my ADHD, it's about all I can handle.
Right.
But that's tomorrow night. But it is interesting to go and see some of these films. They do not get the national attention or international attention unless they're in a film festival like this.
And I was looking at the trailer on the website, so it's like animated films and
everything.
like real life, films as well.
That's right. It's everything, and it runs the gamut, and you really can see a film that later, now this has happened when Sundance gives them high reviews, sometimes they'll go back into mainstream cinema, and then you get to see it, but you could be some of the first.
Because I noticed some of the actors in some of the pictures that played there.
A lot of actors, famous actors, like to go back to do independent films once in a while just to help out a cause or whatever they believe. They think that person has a gift, so neat.
That's really cool.
Maybe we'll be there, Chad.
That's right. We all need to go.
We'll find out what a film festival is together.
I'm going to take you. We'll be right back.
Now, we've been hinting at the idea of black ice across the area late tonight, but really the coldest part of the day has transitioned now to the early part of the next day. So that's going to be tomorrow between 6 and 7 a.m., the coldest part of the day. And so that means when a lot of folks are heading out to work tomorrow, it's really important that you just take it slow when you are driving, to be mindful of the fact that ice is a potential on roadways, especially on bridges and overpasses. Now, we will warm up into the 40s, but certainly not as warm as what we saw over this past weekend as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Now, overall, though, these weather conditions have been pretty up and down. We've been seeing some very, very warm temperatures some days, some very, very cold temperatures other days. But as we move through this week, we're expecting 40s. But when we look at the overall temperature trend, we are expecting for these numbers to stay in the 20s to start out the next several days. So not only tomorrow, but Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're looking at extremely cold numbers. And I talked about the hint of some potential chance of some more wintry weather as we move through this week, hinting at late Thursday going into Friday, but obviously we're days away from that. Going to keep a close eye on how that pans out as we get closer to that time frame, and then the next round of rain possible on Sunday.
We've had such up and down weather lately. We went from the 70s to snow showers in just a matter of days. So I asked you on Facebook how your wardrobe has changed over the past week. Susan Noblet says no coat over the weekend. Now coat and scarf, gloves, long sleeve shirts, shoes too, been barefooted. John Munn says from shorts to long johns in a day. Gordon Snell wrote, well, can't wear skirts for a while, that's for sure. Gwen Roberts, no coat to coat. Lewis Braden, not much, jeans, just put out the long sleeves.
Something I did today that I'm not sure that I've ever done, it was mostly overnight that I did it. I changed it from air conditioning to heat. You know, like usually if you're, it's one time of the year when you either have the air on or off or the heat on or off, but I went from air conditioning to heat. And it, I mean, it just kind of describes the past 24 hours.
That's some of the people that commented on my Facebook, you know, described North Carolina. They said AC heat, AC heat.
Yeah, right.
It's true.
That's what
Last night, I actually forgot to turn the AC off, and I was freezing this morning. I was freezing.
Well, I'm glad you're going to have it on heat when you get home. I actually wore my big WFMY jacket today, and I haven't worn that since I was out at Winterfest with you, Chad. So that's how cold it was for me.
Wow, okay, and that was, I mean, it's crazy to think that it was cold, you know, around Thanksgiving time, but it's been so long since it's been so cold. I mean, December, I mean, you guys are the experts here, but I mean, pretty mild December.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to be, you know, second or third mildest December I know on record for us, and that's unusual. But our normal, when you talk about normals and someone says, oh, the normal high was 50 degrees, I mean, we were 20 plus degrees above normal for several days. Right. It is amazing. January is going to be a shock, I think, because if we get back to normal and we get 40s and 20s, which we're going to have or already having, that's going to be a shock to the system.
Shock to the body.
Yes.
For sure. I mean, like I said, this morning it was a shock for me when I walked out the door. I mean, it's so interesting. I kind of could still wear shorts the last couple of days, and then today I ran out to my car and I was like, wait, I'm wearing shorts and I have the AC on. Like, I was just, my brain was so scattered.
And you gotta feel for the people who don't watch the news, don't check the weather app, don't do anything to stay in touch with the world, to go from yesterday to today.
And God forbid if they just moved to North Carolina and they don't know how it does that. My tire pressure, I noticed in my tires, because mine shows up on the dash. Yeah, it went from like 35 pounds, you know, down and then back up again all over the place because of that change in temperature. But anyway,
that time of year.
Comment on Facebook. Let us know what you think. We'll be back. Get to the level that you're supposed to put.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hey, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got a mask on. Hey.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado.
Hi there. Duke Energy says power might not be restored for some.
Hey, at what point can I flip this camera around to me? Am I okay to? Perfect.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Most of the snow here.
Hey, it's time for my 2 cents, and today I'm talking about post-holiday depression. You know, when I was in college, I used to have a party every year. Once Christmas was over and New Year's is over, I'd have the post-holiday depression party, we called it. And it's a real thing, right? It's all over with. The excitement's kind of gone. You kind of miss it. My wife and I were talking last night. It seemed like Christmas just came and went like, boom, just gone. So I looked it up, and it is a real thing. They call it post-holiday blues or post-vacation syndrome. Same thing. And they say some of the signs are you feel tired, you feel a little bit of sadness, you have difficulty concentrating, and those symptoms are exactly what you feel. And scientists say it's because we get this adrenaline rush with the holidays. There's gatherings, there's food, there's vacation, there's Christmas, there's Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and then all of a sudden it's over with and your body has to readjust to that stress level, in some cases, or adrenaline level being a lot lower. So at least I know it's a real thing. So if you have this, they say there are a few things to do. One, watch diet and sleep, which is kind of a normal thing, but that helps to get you back into a routine. Enjoy some you time. Do something just for you, not just for other people or family, just for you. Some quiet time for you. And then the last one is surround yourself with people that make you happy. Those all sound like normal things, but you need that extra when you're coming off of a big holiday high. So I will tell you this, we usually take our Christmas decorations down right as soon as the vacation is over with, which would have been this past weekend. But mine are still up because I need another day or two. So if you drive by the Chilton house and it's still all lit up, now you'll know why. But that's just my 2 cents, and that's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Talk about wacky weather. Snow today, temperatures in the 70s yesterday. Here's a look at the flakes falling in High Point. You can see it